Hello, and welcome to the Silver Lining, the weekly geekly talk show where we discuss probably whatever we want to talk about over the past week. Thank you for joining me. I am your host, Uncle Silver, aka Greg, aka Uncle Greg, whatever you want to call me. Welcome to you, my co-host, the chat. I love having you guys here. It's so much more interesting. I met Ryan at a Braves game yesterday. It was really awesome. Oh, very cool, CT. And hello, R-Wing, Aqua Sakura, Mendez, Rai, CT, whoever else might be lurking about. Thank you for joining me. I'm glad to be here. I wasn't sure I was going to do a show today. I know that it's Labor Day weekend, so a lot of people are probably on vacation, or they went away for the weekend, or they're watching their own stuff. Or they're producing their own stuff. Brandon, hi, how you doing there? I hope everybody's been having a good week. It's started out kind of rough. This was not the super best start to the week. There have been much better starts to a week. Me is lurking. Did someone say vacation? Hey, Suave Experiment Hawk. I will warn you now. Yesterday the stream crashed for the first time since the new modem.
Your ideas are intriguing to me, and I wish to subscribe to your newsletter.
Brandon, thank you for the follow. I really appreciate that. So I don't know what's going to happen today. I did lower my KBS. What happened was we were dropping the stream like constantly all the time. I changed the modem. I got a new modem, and it worked. So I raised my KBS, and that was working. And then for some reason yesterday it cut out. It dropped again. So I lowered my KBS back down. We'll see what happens. I don't know if you guys... I don't actually know what that does. If you guys see a better or worse picture when I raise or lower that or whatever. People talk about how it's the quality of the stream, but I lowered it a whole bunch, and I never noticed any difference. Like when what I do is I download the stream off of Twitch, and then I cut it up into pieces, and then that's how I upload it to YouTube. It's just easier. I've done it the other way. Like I've recorded and downloaded at the same time. I always have some sort of audio problem or something, and it takes forever to record it and then convert it over. So I just started doing this, and it just works better. But I haven't noticed anything really as far as quality goes. So I don't know what the KBS does. I really don't. But yeah, I hope everybody had a good week. Like I said, Sunday started pretty badly. We had a very, very tragic event. So before anything else, I do want to... there isn't a lot to talk about with that. I'm not going to get into a conversation about that because there really is only one position on that, and that is that the guy was an asshole. And, like, there's no discussion there. There's no, like, oh, well, maybe this or maybe that. The guy was an asshole. He did what he did. And I feel for the people that were injured and lost their lives. For the families, I absolutely feel my sympathies go out to you guys. That being said, I wanted to go. I had a couple pickups. I was waiting for 2 things to come in the mail, and they both came in the mail this week, and I'm super, super excited about it. Hey, Dr. Games, Mr. Sonic, what's going on? The first was... We actually played it yesterday, so I'm going to show this off first. I picked up Castlevania Chronicles for the PS1. I ended up getting a really, really good deal on this from a really super cool guy. I'm just going to call him Ecto Cooler. He knows who he is. Like Ford and Dodge. No, CT, good pickups. Okay, I know Ford and Dodge people just lost their brains when I said that. KBS's internet speed, how fast info is changed. Okay, so I really don't know, Mendez, if it does anything to the quality or not. I mean, you could tell me if it does, but everybody says that it doesn't. But I wanted to show the disc art for that. It's just the cover basically, but I love disc art. I love games that have cool disc art. I have my autofocus on, so it's like it's all kinds of fuzzy. I hate autofocus, but it kind of works better sometimes. I also picked up... I ordered this weeks ago, and it finally came in. Okami on Switch. This is import. This is an import, a physical copy of Okami. This didn't come out physically in the U.S., and I love physical copies. I saw that there's an English option on here, so you can turn everything in English. Once I saw that, I went on the next day and ordered it. If you can see, it's got a. Let's see. It's got this. Okami. It comes with like a registration card. This is cool because I am trying to learn Japanese, so maybe this will be like my practice card. I want to see if I can figure out what all of this says. And then it's like, I guess it's like a mini. Yeah, it's like a mini instruction booklet. Yeah, see, it's tough to see. I hate that, like the cart. It's tough to see because of the autofocus and because of the lighting in here. But yeah, it's like a mini instruction booklet. It shows you what a lot of the button inputs are and stuff like that. Like, it's actually really cool. I kind of like this. There's a lot of tiny little artwork. I love bigger manuals that have artwork and stuff. Not really. It's more related to frame drops. Okay. Also, hold on. Reversible cover. I wish you guys could like really see that. Hold on. Well, that actually looks a little bit better. My lights are like there and there, so it's the angle, the way the angle comes at me, like I have to angle it down in order for you to see it. Am I licking the cart? Is that what it is? Ooh, let's see what Japanese carts taste like. Still awful. It's ugh. I'm disgusted in Japanese. I mostly get collector's edition for cover art and books nowadays. Yeah, that's the only thing that ever comes with them nowadays. So yeah, those are my two pickups for the week. What did I just witness? Rocky Bear Switch cartridges taste terrible. I don't know if you've ever seen that. MSG. Now it's like it's on my tongue. All right, so I'm gonna cancel the stream because the cart tastes bad. So I want to jump into today's topic. Earlier this week was the Nintendo Direct. They did a Nindies Direct, which is all of the Mass Effect Collector's Edition doesn't include the game. Oh yeah, Suave, that's a problem. Maybe that's a discussion we need to have one day. What the hell happened to Collector's Editions? Because there's like a Resident Evil, like two Resident Evil Collector's Editions. One of them is like $900, and I don't think either one of them comes with the game. But the Nindies was this week, and I'll be honest, I wasn't.
Your ideas are intriguing to me, and I wish to subscribe to your newsletter.
What is that? Dear Prototype? Right? Deep Prototype. Thank you for the follow. I was not very excited to see the Nindies Direct coming up. There was nothing. There was nothing on the horizon that I felt like I wanted to see more. You know, when we see a Nintendo Direct come up, there's always the stuff that you don't really know about is coming up, and you want to find that stuff out. But then there's always those games that you are aware of that you want to see more on. You know, the next time they say Nintendo Direct, I want to see Metroid Prime 4. Like that's I want to. I don't care what new they tell me about other games. I want to know what's going on with the game that I already know is coming. So there was nothing like that I wanted to see out of the Nindies Direct. So I knew exactly what it was going to be, and unfortunately, it is a problem that's been kind of going on lately. I knew, and we've touched on it here. I don't think we had a full discussion about it, but we can have one now. If we did, we're gonna have it again. Pixel art style graphics, over and over and over again. I am a retro gamer. I love retro games. Obviously. I love retro games. I love the old retro games. I love the modernization of retro games. I love things like the SNES and NES Classic, where we get to play these things on HDMI and they go right to the TV and they look as good as ever. I love newer games that use pixel art but have some cool things going on with them. I love pixel art style indie games. I think that some of them are amazing. I have Wizard of Legend, which I absolutely love. I want to play. I keep wanting to buy it. The Mummy Demastered, I think it was called. Looks amazing, unbelievable. But like 80% of indie games, I feel like we're getting. I mean, it's less than 80%. But I feel like we're getting to a point where we are starting to experience. I know I am. I'm starting to experience pixel art burnout. Like, I'm tired of seeing it. I'm tired of seeing it over and over again. And I wanted to touch on that and talk about that. I wanted to see what you guys thought if you were going through this sort of. Like I said, I was not excited for the Nindies Direct because I knew it was just going to be a bunch of pixel art stuff. And once it started flowing. Every video I just lost interest in. There were a few games that weren't in there. Goose Game looks delightfully ridiculous. It looks like exactly the kind of stupid game I would play and play it for hours on end. And that's not pixel art. You know, Zarbot something I think was not pixel art. Goose Game will be GOAT. But if you compare a modern pixel art game to something like Streets of no, Latimer, we're gonna get into it, believe me. Because there are certain oh, by the way, Latimer, when you said Streets of Rage, because it's we're gonna talk about Streets of Rage 4 because that has something to do with what's going on here. The Mummy Demastered is good, but don't expecting a full Metroidvania. Yeah, that's what I keep hearing, that it was sort of lackluster in its follow through, but it looks really cool, which is why I haven't spent $20 on it. Anytime I hear that, my answer is just go play 3D. Oh, Siberian Ninja. No. Or hand drawn game. I get it. Let's be clear here. I'm not telling the indie development teams out there to stop doing it. If they're gonna do it, they're gonna do it, and I'm not going to play it if I experience burnout from it. The problem is that there is so much of it. A, you kind of get tired of looking at it, and B, when you see so much of it, it's hard to weed out the really, really good, exceptional games from it, and it makes it more difficult. You know, look at FPSs. FPSs went through stages where they were all over the place. They were everywhere, and every one of them had their own feature, and every one of them had their own gimmick, and it became so difficult to figure out the amazing ones from just the mediocre ones, that there were a lot of people who just, it's FPS, I'm not going to bother playing it. Because at the same time that it may be different, it all feels kind of samey, and that's dangerous. You know, nobody likes that. That's not good for any part of the industry. Let's check out some of these comments here. I'm gonna go back a little. I always appreciate when indie games go for non-pixel art style stuff styled after 5th generation 3D. I can get down with that. And I see we've got a lot of comments today about this, so I'm gonna try and get to as many as I can. When someone is inspired, it'll show in the game's art style. Being that I've not seen a lot of games of pixel art personally, you haven't played a lot of games of pixel art personally, because I guarantee you've seen a lot of them. I'm not on Burnout, but I can understand you getting tired of it. People go too far with the nostalgia. So, but Mendez, that's why it was so good, because it was so dumb. Because it's a dumb premise and it's a dumb execution, but that makes it interesting. Look at games like Get Over It, like the guy in the barrel or something with the pickaxe. It was a phenomenon, and it was a ridiculous game because it was like $2. You know, and that's sometimes that's what you need. Sometimes you need a little bit of silly. Here's CEO marketing team indie. We got to connect with old gamers who think SNES, Genesis, Saturn is the only good systems. Hey, Haunted Bone, how you doing? It's like there's pixel art and the sprite looking like Legos. Geese are violent. Fuck. Yeah, they are. Mega Man Legends series is underrated. I want to see more indie games go for that. Yeah, I see what you mean. There are some indie games out there that are 3D models. I think the Unity engine is very good for low end development. You know, from what I understand, it's very easy to use and develop for. So you can get some quality looking 3D games that are low budget. So I would like to see more of that. Why play Get Over It when you can play Sexy Hiking for free? Okay. One of my biggest problems with pixel art games that I'm having nowadays are and I mentioned Wizard of Legend. Wizard of Legend is one of the ones that does this. There are certain things I like about pixel art games, I should say there are certain things that I like about retro games. I am a scanline junkie. For like when it comes to using a PVM or CRT TV for old pixel art, for old retro games, I should say, not pixel art. Back then they were just called video games. I like scan lines. There's something about the scan lines that sort of breaks up the image. I like it. I like the way it works. Games without them, like Wizard of Legend, like Fez, I think Celeste was kind of like that. They're pretty to look at, but I don't know. I feel like it's an idea of what some people thought retro games looked like, and they didn't look like that. Like the scan lines being there was a vital component of what retro games looked like back then. So them missing to me is incredibly noticeable. Dead Cells pixel art, but when the camera turns, it looks almost like 3D, very smooth. What about Octopath as a pro? Oh, Suave, we're getting there. Because I'm going to tell you what the Octopath did what I like. And I've talked about Octopath before, and I'll bring it up here. But Octopath did exactly what I like. The problem with Unity is that a lot of developers use it as a crutch. Yeah, and I worry that pixel graphics are the same exact thing. That they're using it as a crutch to, oh, well, our game is going to be, it's a platformer and it's got this and that. So it's going to be pixel art, and then people love pixel art. So they'll go for it, and then it loses that sort of, it's the same problem with a lot of games that had super duper high end graphics, and then the game just failed because it was boring. Like they focused so much on the art style and the graphics that they didn't bother to deal with the gameplay. There are a lot of people probably using Unity for that, and I feel like pixel art has the same problem. Pumping out half-baked games today, yeah. Yeah, that's another problem with the Unity engine, is that there are a lot of asset flips, which they're not good. And again, that adds to the problem of there's so much crap out there, but it's an asset flip, so it all looks the same. It looks like other good games look. So you're not sure which ones you're which ones you're going to enjoy and which ones you're not. You don't know what to spend money on. If you ain't 3D models, you are a pixel. The Sonic Mania handle pixel art. Yes, with a caveat, twist, something. Okay. As a retro gamer myself, pixel art isn't a must. I do miss 16 and 32-bit graphics like Mega Man on PS1. Yeah, I love that. I love the heavy animation art styles. I love like Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. I thought was gorgeous animation, unbelievable. Caviar twist. All right. When it comes to pixel art, I'll tell you, we've mentioned two games. You guys have mentioned two games: Sonic Mania and Octopath Traveler. One of them did what I like. One of them did something that works well, but 3D Dot Heroes, that's a cool little twist. We'll have to play that. I have that game. We'll have to play that sometime. Sonic Mania is an amazing looking game. It's an amazing looking retro style graphics game. But it looks like something that could have easily been done 10 years ago. It looks like the Sonic classic style game that we should have had a long time ago, when they started to focus on 3D games and the 3D games just progressively got worse. We should have gotten a 2D Sonic game that looks like Sonic Mania, that looks exactly like Sonic Mania. So I love it. I love the way it looks, but I do feel like we could have had that years ago if they were paying attention to what people wanted. but Uncle Mighty and Ray. Octopath Traveler is what I want, because Octopath Traveler looks like the evolution of retro style graphics and where it should be today. It doesn't need to be 100% retro style graphics. I like scaling and stuff like that. I like the fact that they took the Unity engine, which is generally a 3D graphics engine, and used it to make a pixel art style retro looking game, but with these sort of effects, these sort of foreground and background fading, the glittering. Like, if you guys have played it, when you go to somewhere, there's a still snow. It's called, the land is called Still Snow, and there's a place called Gold Shore, which is a beach. You see the foreground sort of blurred out because it's obviously not what's in focus, but then the way it's glittering and the lighting effects and everything, it is what I feel like we should have with those kind of graphics today. Obviously, indie developers don't have the kind of budget as Squaresoft, keep calling them Squaresoft, as Square Enix does. So I'm not faulting indie developers on that. But like you said before, that the Unity engine is very often like a crutch for 3D developers. I feel like just making a pixel art style game and not adding anything from modern game design, from graphics design, I feel like that is a crutch. I feel like they're saying, oh, well, it looks exactly like Final Fantasy II did. That's great, except Final Fantasy II is now 26 years old. Why not try and make a game that, if it's not going to do something different, it should look different? Feels sad. That was my point, Greg. Yeah, it was made for fans to emulate its again. Yeah, which is fine. That's great. How do you feel about games like Flashback and rotoscoping pixel animation? Flashback is interesting. That the rotoscoping animation, I don't think we see a whole lot of. So it's interesting. It definitely moves a lot smoother, but it moves a lot smoother compared to what we used to have, and I feel like now we have better effects. I don't mind it so much, but I'm just not I'm not a gigantic fan of those games. I am a fan of those games, Flashback and Out of This World. Alone in the Dark, I think, was one of them. I like them, but I don't need to see a whole lot of them unless I'm getting versions of that with modern looks to it. Isn't Octopath, does it have a storybook? Isn't Octopath, does it have a storybook? That weird Sonic 3. Oh, no, CT. It's basically a flat image, but the foreground and background are blurred, and then because of the way, the crispness of everything, it all looks like a diorama. It looks like a diorama on the screen, and it's amazing looking. New Mode 7. I would like Sonic Mania to have hand-drawn graphics similar to Tyson Hess's work. Sonic work, that's an utter pipe dream. I would love the style to move forward without losing the classic look and attitude. There's a guy remaking Sonic Chaos that already looks. It's too glittery. See, Matt, I Mendez. I know that it might have been too glittery for you. I think it's amazing looking. I think it's beautiful, and I think that the glitter is where it's supposed to be. It's in the background and the foreground on the primary plane. It clears up a little bit. If Octopath did anything wrong, I think that there are moments where the lighting and the hazy lighting is too bright, so it makes things harder to see. I do wish there was a way to scale that back a little bit. Other than that, it's gorgeous. Yeah, basically a pop. That's exactly what it looks like. I thought you could move in the foreground and the background, kind of like Golden Sun. I thought it had a pop-up look with mountains and it's sort of like a pop-up book. You can move back and forth, but it's almost like there's a foreground, there's a background, and there's your plane that you're on. That plane will change focus as you move to it. Just figure out, I don't want every game drawing from the same art style because nowadays we have technology. in order to make high quality looks even for pixel art. No, Mendez, then you do agree with me. That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I don't want everything to look like pixel art, and I don't want it to all look like the same pixel art. That's my problem, and I think, and that's the burnout, is that everything looks like, there's like 4 different versions of pixel art. I mean, there's probably a few more, but there's these versions of pixel art that everybody's using, and they look the same, and they're not bothering to add modern lighting effects, modern effects that modern scaling effects. They're not bothering to take these pixel art styles and do anything modern with them. The game itself isn't as good as people. Yeah, well, then Mendez, we'll agree to disagree. The game has problems. Octopath does have some relatively significant problems. Not really. There are some problems with the flow of the story in that game, but I think that the game is spectacular. I think, and Mendez, right now we're just talking about art style. And art style, there's nothing out there that looks like Octopath Traveler does. Even if you try and say, oh, it looks like a pixel art game with the lighting effects and the shading and everything, you can't tell me that there's a game out there that looks like that. No way. You know, distinct art style. Yeah, I'm fine with that. We need more Flipperama from Captain Underpants. How do you feel about games like BlazBlue, Guilty Gear, where it's practically 2.5 pixel art? I like 2.5 pixel art. See that, and that's what I'm talking about. You know, I like where you integrate them. You know, 2D sprite characters on 3D backgrounds. It's something I always King of Fighters 98 or 99 was one of the first ones I remember that really did that, where it gave you 3D backgrounds with 2D sprites on the front. And I thought it was amazing. I thought that it stood out it helped the 2D characters stand out very well against the 3D background, and it made the 3D backgrounds pop because it had these characters in front of it. Like, it all worked really well, and I like that stuff. I would love to see, and I just, it sounds goofy, and I kind of want to see it just to see if it would actually work. 3D modeled characters on 2D backgrounds. I know it sounds ridiculously stupid, but you can't tell me that that wouldn't, at the very least, look unique. Making pixel art is not easy. No, Arwing, I'm not saying any of this is easy. If it was easy, I'd do it myself. I'm not saying any of this is easy. This is why I always have a hard time talking about this stuff, because there's always somebody who jumps up and says, well, if it's so easy, I'm not saying it's easy, but there is a lot of development that goes into these, and they all want to try and be unique, but they all end up trying to do the same thing in the interest of being unique, you know, and that obviously is a flaw. In my opinion, I think the reason Sonic Mania looks the way it does is because over the past 10 years, the modern 3D Sonics just weren't cutting it. Sonic Mania. Oh, yeah, and that's why I like Sonic. That's why it works for Sonic Mania. It works for Sonic Mania that it looks like a game. It looks like the game we should have had 10 years ago. And it works because it's the game we did want 10 years ago. And we kept getting 3D Sonic games. Have you seen a Disgaea game? Yes, it's nowhere near the same as Octopath, but mixed with. Yes, I've played Disgaea 1, and it looks amazing. It looks unbelievable. But then I also played Phantom Brave, and Phantom Brave kind of looked a little basic, you know, and that was a PS2 game. You know, we could have had more effects by then. PS2, we could have had great pixel art stuff, and then they just kind of just sort of went blah. Arc System Works is a god when it comes to making great graphics. In all your years of gaming, what game graphically blew you away the most? I don't know what game has blown me away the most to date. I know the first time I was dramatically impressed. I don't know why
your
either.
ideas are intriguing to me, and I wish to subscribe to your newsletter.
Hey, Kylo. I'm having trouble reading it. Thank you for the follow. I know that Eco for PS2. I think the first time I said Eco or saw Eco or Ico, I think I'm pretty sure I pronounced it Ico back then. The first time I saw that, I remember thinking, oh my god, this is gorgeous. Like, we had Metal Gear Solid 2, and Metal Gear Solid 2 was spectacular looking. But the first time I saw Eco, I just remember thinking, like, oh, this is what is it about this that's so gorgeous? And there was something about the lighting and the shading that worked and made it amazing looking to me. And again, the game itself was relatively okay, but just something about the way it looked. 3D.Hero is more like a beta version of an Octopath should be. Let's see here. I'm trying to catch up. It might not be easy, but we can still judge. I think we're gonna have pixel art with background animations to signify like wind blowing because it makes the world feel alive. Yeah, that's the sort of thing that I like to see. A living background. I'm trying to catch up on the comments here. No, Arwing, it's fine. It's fine. It's just there is always that one person that says that, like that obviously it's not easy. It's like, I'm not an idiot. I know that it's not easy, but just because I can't do it, I am paying for it. So there are certain things that I'm sorry, it's not that I'm paying for it. It's that they want me to buy it. You know, when you talk about the video game industry and you talk about development, yes, they can all make their passion projects, but realistically, they want us to pay money for that stuff. So what they need to hear is input from us. You know, the Sonic fan base is perfect for that, where the Sonic fan base has been asking for certain things for all these years, and they kept getting 3D Sonic games, and the reason Mania blew up so much is because it feels like they finally listened to everybody. Yeah, it was Kyleo. Okay. Hello, Kyleo. Ocarina had 3D characters on the 2D. Was it 2D? I thought it was 3D. I thought there were 3D backgrounds, but it was pre-rendered. Pre-rendered 3D backgrounds, like Final Fantasy VII. Yeah, I thought Ocarina of Time was pre-rendered 3D backgrounds. I could be wrong. I honestly could be wrong. I've only played through Ocarina like twice. I played Witch and 100 Knight and eventually played this guy. Okay. Good choice taking. Okay. For me, God of War 3 to fight a horde of enemies. Disagree hard. Sonic fan base is a mess that doesn't know what it wants. All right. I'll give you that one. And okay, and to talk about this, there was another sort of not a side to the argument or to this discussion. Streets of Rage 4. We saw that Streets of Rage 4 was recently released, and I wouldn't say that there was not blowback. I think most people were pretty happy to see that Streets of Rage 4 exists. But I have heard some concerns over the art style, because this is a game that should have been pixel art, and it looks like they're going with a hand-drawn art style. It looks awesome, but I feel like we should have a modernized pixel art type game out of Streets of Rage. So, but instead we're getting this hand-drawn art. Looks amazing. Looks unbelievable, and you're damn sure I'm going to play it. I'm absolutely going to play that. But there we have a situation where it's sort of like the other way around, like where we do want pixel art, we didn't get it. And I'm just curious. I have heard some people voice concerns over that. Do you have any graphical nuances you really like? For me, I like a lot when characters have really good walk cycles. And I feel like they're actually walking on the ground rather than... Yeah, I think walk cycles work really well. I know it's the stupidest thing. It is the stupidest thing. I don't know why I always see it. I just don't know. But there are like programs to make sure that characters blink their eyes, right? I was playing Octopath today, and everybody blinks their eyes. Like, all the characters blink their eyes. And it's something that, I know it sounds stupid, but it's something that I always notice, that characters blink their eyes. And it's like, are they going through effort to do that every time? Or is there a program that I was pretty sure there's a program that makes that happen. It's so weird. Yeah, it's the same art style of Wonder Boy. In Siberian Ninja, Wonder Boy has a button that you can hit to flip between the two art styles because it has the pixel art style built into it. I know Dragon's Trap did. And you can switch it on the fly. I find that very interesting. You know, also hand-drawn art. Final Fantasy Tactics remakes for PSP cutscenes. Oh, for that art style. Should be, or do we want to keep the same art style because the old games had it? But should it be? I just feel like Dragon Knight. I just feel like that's a place where it should have belonged. You know, where it fits and makes more sense. If the streets were actually filled with rage, a lot of us would be homeless. Rocky Bear, unfortunately, a lot of people are. Yeah, Skullgirls is wonderful. Yeah, so the idea of hand-drawn animation, I don't want to make it sound like I don't like hand-drawn animation. Hand-drawn animation, beat 'em ups especially, look spectacular. But if Final Fight came out and it was hand-drawn animation, it probably works a little bit better for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. If they redid Turtles in Time and then decided to do hand-drawn animation, it'll look great, but I don't know. Shouldn't we have pixel? You know what I mean? Like, shouldn't we have a modernized pixel art version of that game? School was drawn by Zone, a porn artist. Don't forget. Oh, did Zone Sama do all of that stuff? Mischief Maker, Yuki Troublemakers. Oh, that was 3D model characters over 2D backgrounds, wasn't it? Cuphead. Yeah, Cuphead's a shooter. Cuphead looks amazing. But you see, that's exactly the point. Cuphead is a brand new series. Cuphead is something brand new, and you know it's a series because you know they're going to make more of it. So it makes sense for them to experiment with their art style. It just, when it comes to like a part 4, you know, Contra. If you made Contra 5, since there was a Contra 4, if you made Contra 5 and then all of a sudden it was hand-drawn art, it may look amazing, it may play amazing, but there's always going to be that small part of you that says, I don't know, I feel like it should have been pixels. Well, it wasn't just Zone. Wait, Cuphead isn't hand-drawn? Cuphead isn't hand-drawn? Well, artwork, drawings, I should say. 2D 2D characters in a 3D world. Okay. Cuphead was really going to hand-drawn animation, but it would have taken years to do. Oh, I figured it was hand-drawn animation. I figured they were all drawings, and it was just scanned into the game. What company made Mischief Makers? Was that Nintendo? Mischief Makers was Treasure. Who Treasure, if you guys are familiar with Treasure is unbelievable. There you go. There's a great Radiant Silvergun. Radiant Silvergun, I believe, had a pixely kind of look, but was all 3D models. Like, it looked amazing. I think some of the stuff was 2D in that game. No, I think that all of that was 3D model. Yeah, never mind. Oh, my back. Wasn't that basically Hardcore Uprising? I don't think I played Hardcore Uprising. Treasure is gimmicky as hell. Yeah, but they make it work, don't they? I mean, you talk about Gunstar Heroes, Alien Soldier, which is hard as balls, Radiant and Ikaruga. Like, you talk about these games, and yeah, they have a gimmick to them, but it doesn't feel gimmicky. It feels like something that a mechanic of the game. See, that's the problem with the word gimmicky. I don't like the word gimmicky because gimmicky is generally a mechanic to a game. It's not gimmicky if it's one game. You know, if it's 2 games. Gimmicky to me is Wii motion controls, and every damn game tries to use it. That's a gimmick to me. You know, gimmicky is dance pad. You know, a dance pad, for instance. The dance pad is the dance pad. That's what it is. When you try and incorporate it into other games, that feels a little bit like a gimmick. Nintendo is the king of gimmicks. Let's be honest here. If not hand drawn, what is it? Or do you mean it was digitally done? Because it was still it's still classified as hand drawn if it's like that. They wanted to draw every angle and aspect of the game. It would have taken years to do. Yeah, they scan. Yeah, it's scanned drawings, so that kind of works. Mr. Gimmick is gimmick. Yeah, Mr. Gimmick is a bit gimmicky. What about Return of Samus? Return of Samus, I thought was good. I thought that it. I don't know that there were any gimmicks to the game other than, again, the things that set that game apart from other platformers. When it's something that sets the game apart from Cuphead. Cuphead has the mechanic that when you press the button, when you hit a pink bubble or a pink bullet and you bounce. That's not a gimmick. That's a mechanic of that particular game. If Microsoft added a button specifically for that to their controller and made every game have that mechanic, that's a gimmick that they're trying to force it on you. They're cramming it into every game. So the stuff in anything in Return to Samus, there was nothing in Return to Samus that I felt was gimmicky. I felt everything was a mechanic of the game. AM2R is greater than Return to Samus. Iggy, you don't have to leave because you're right. Hardcore Uprising had hand-drawn-esque player and every humanoid character, but everything else is 3D model. Phil, I believe Contra Neo, the second one for PS2, I believe that was like that. I believe it was called. Well, was it called? No, yeah, it was Samus Return. Yeah, Samus Returns, and then Return to Samus was the one on Game Boy. we all know what we're talking about. Touchscreen aiming was Mr. Sparkly. Touchscreen aiming was 100% gimmicky. The king of all gimmicks was the dual screen DS and 3DS, and having to, you know what? You say touchscreen aiming. Phantom Hourglass, Zelda Phantom Hourglass, and I believe Spirit Tracks used, and Animal Crossing Wild World used touchscreen moving. You had to move the characters. No, Phantom Hourglass, I think, and Spirit Tracks were like that. Animal Crossing, I think you can move with the crosspad. But the Zelda games, I believe you had to move using touchscreen moving. That's a gimmick. Samus Returns, Return to Samus, the new one on the 3DS. I hope that free aim mechanic from Samus Returns comes back to. Yeah, I like that. I thought that was a great. I thought that was a great mechanic. I thought that worked very well. You know, it was a modern concept that I believe worked well in that flat 2.5D space. And I'll never play those Zelda games ever. Siberian Ninja, I'll be honest with you. Phantom Hourglass was very, very excellent. I very much enjoyed Spirit Tracks, but the train aspect of it did kind of slow things down sometimes. But the Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks did something that I wish there was a way to do on. Well, there is a way to do it, but they did something, and I wish they did on modern Zelda. When you use your boomerang, what you do is you could draw the line where the boomerang goes, and so that you know, if you had to hit 5 switches, you would draw a line so that it went and hit all the switches, and then you throw the boomerang and it did it. I thought that was amazing. I believe that they also that was one of the games that also had a mechanic where you could draw on the map where certain things were. So when you walk into the room and you said, oh, there's a key there, but I can't get to it yet, you could draw a little key on the map, and you could look at your map and say, oh, there we go. I'm personally tired of pixel art graphics as a throwback. Has been going on since 2008. Yeah, see, Lizard's got the burnout. Phantom Hourglass is infuriating because of the Temple of the Ocean King. I kind of wish Nintendo did hand-drawn games or their retro revival game. Ooh, yeah, hand-drawn Kirby, I think, would work very, very well. Especially a comic-like style for Metroid, like cutscenes and zero missions. Yeah, absolutely, I'll take that. Just rewatched the Cuphead. Do you know gaming? It was it was hand-drawn, which was slowed down, which slowed it down by 80%. They thought about hand coloring and said it would have taken years. Yeah, there's no reason to hand color that many pictures. Mega Man 9 started the whole trend, didn't it? I don't know that it started the trend, but there was a lot. I feel like Mega Man 9 was one of the first times that I remember an actual company saying, we're going to do it exactly like the old ones, and people went nuts for it. I really enjoyed Minish Cap, especially. Oh, I loved Minish Cap. I think that's great. I think I want to play that on the stream at some point. Although I only played through it twice, so I don't remember a whole lot of that game. The Wonder Boy remake was a great hand-drawn game, at least. Yeah, Mr. Sparkle. The Wonder Boy and the Dragon's Trap had hand-drawn and pixel art graphics, and you could flip whichever graphic styles you want at the press of a button. Like, I think there was a dedicated button to flipping it between hand-drawn and pixel, and there was no difference in the game other than that. I feel like there was another game that did that, and I don't remember what it was. My only problem with that is that when you play one, you're missing the other one. Oh, and it did change the music too. Okay. Yeah, I feel like we're getting to a point with the pixel art graphics where it's not, and it's the same thing as other graphic styles. It used to sell games. There was a point where the revival of DuckTales Remastered, yeah, I think that's hand-drawn. There was a point where seeing a pixel art game, because it had been so long since we saw one, it drew your attention. But I do think that we're getting to a point where we're kind of tired of it. And not just because it's pixels, like I was saying earlier, because they're not doing anything special with the pixels. It just looks like a Super Nintendo game or a Genesis game or a Nintendo game. That's why, like I said, Octopath Traveler works great because it added all these modern graphic techniques to the pixel art, so it works really well. And I was curious to talk about this because I wanted to see if anybody else was suffering through this. Like, when the Nindies Direct happened, did the fact that you knew everything was going to be, or a large majority of it was going to be some kind of pixel art game, did it annoy you, and did you just not even have interest in it? You know what fan game has amazing Hyper Dragon Ball Z. I'll have to look at that. Amnesia set the run from the monster type of game. RE4 did action horror. RE1 did fixed camera angle thingy. COD 4 did the FPS thing, and Mario 64 the mascot 3D Yeah, Mario 64 was definitely the best the platformer. I don't know if COD 4. What was Black Ops 2? I think Black Ops 2 was the first time that I remember people going nuts for COD. But that definitely did the FPS thing. Super interesting to see these games that start trends. It's because they're using the art as a selling point. I'm thinking about what hand-drawn game art really means. Like, usually it's still digital, but does it need to be frame by frame? I don't think it needs to be frame by frame. I think that I think that using animation to make keyframes and then using a computer to generate the blur frames and the frames in the middle, I think that would be fine. I think that hand drawing the keyframes, I think, is probably the most important thing, and then a computer using 3D transformations to move into the next keyframe, I think would actually be very interesting. Again, it's probably been done a million times, and I just never noticed it because I'm talking out of my ass because I don't know anything about programming. But I would be interested if that does exist. Please show me examples of it. Oh, COD 4 is Modern Warfare. Yeah. I'm sorry, Modern Warfare is the one that I'm thinking of. That was like people went crazy for it. Let you flip between HD sprites and original pixel sprites. Okay. Inti Creates is one of my favorite studios. I love Inti Creates. I believe they were responsible for Mighty No. 9, but everything after that was gold. I don't care much about graphics or music when I buy a game. I go for gameplay. Mendez, I go for gameplay, but I go for gameplay and level design and story. I especially go for story. But the bottom line is you do have to look at it the whole time. And if it looks like trash, it's not going to be interesting enough. And that's the problem. Like, you know, when you get into a relationship with somebody, people say it's what's on the inside that counts. But if you are 100% not attracted to the person on the outside, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. Which is totally subjective. I don't want anybody to think I'm calling people ugly or anything. I'm just saying that, you know, what is attractive to one person is not attractive to another. And if it's just 100% not attractive to you, regardless of personality, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. A little bit. Believe me. Personality like 90%. Team Blue Arc Systems does everything. They do everything hand drawn. How do you feel about the new Inti Creates announced during the Indies? What are they? Which one are they doing? Is that that's not Into the Breach, is it? That's not them. Nah, it's cool. I'm hella ugly. Latimer, I am personally hella ugly myself. We no wonder you watch. Now you are all beautiful people. Well, time for that plastic surgery. But more important, Goose Game live. Suave Goose Game live stream when Goose Game comes out. I think they said it was going to be $5. I will play the hell out of Goose Game. Oh man, it's so delightfully ridiculous. Oh, Dragon Mark for Death. Okay, you have a partner. You ain't ugly. Oh god, they did do Bloodstained, did they? Yeah, I watched the Nindies and I remember a lot of it. I actually had everything written down because I was gonna talk about it and go through game by game. And I was like, I never got into Minecraft, even though I gave it a few chances, but for some reason Terraria really hooked. Yeah, see Phil, the visual is important. You know, don't judge a book by its cover. But the cover's part of the book. You know, the cover, when you look at the cover of a book, I think you're very handsome. Thank you, Rye. When you look at the cover of a book, and that's probably the best analogy to that. You don't judge a book by the cover, but when you look at the cover of the book, the style of art on the front of the book can help give you some kind of idea of what's going on inside the book. When you get, I forget the guy's name that does a lot of the Dungeons and Dragons artwork, but when you get that painted looking hero character on the front and there's a dragon breathing fire or something like that, not only does the hero and the dragon give you an idea of the fantasy setting, the painted art style gives you the idea that what you're going to read is some sort of, some kind of epic, you know, very serious, maybe a joke here and there, but that's because everybody puts a joke here and there. That's the sort of thing you're going to see. If you take a serious art book, a serious storybook, and it is dragon. Oh no, here we go. It is international espionage and like a Tom Clancy book, and it's spy games and all kinds of stuff, and there's assassinations and shootings and all of that, and then you put a pixel art guy on the front. You don't judge a book by the cover, but you can't help but notice that there is a massive disconnect between what's on the cover and what's in the book. So you are going to make at least a little bit of a judgment. That's why the graphics, they're not everything, but they're something. And that's probably the biggest takeaway from all of this, is that graphics are not everything, but they are something. And when you start seeing, when everything starts to look samey and everybody's trying to go backwards and it looks like nobody's trying to move forward, or that they're not trying to move forward, it kind of hurts the whole idea. Hey, grant me power. Who's here? Kirby? Kirby's here? Kirby here? Somebody say Kirby? Who said Kirby? Kind of funny, as a kid, games did draw me in by their covers. Nowadays, I never really browse games, let alone covers, without knowing about the game. Iggy, now we have so much more information. That's the thing. Nowadays, you don't have to judge a book by the cover, and you don't even have to judge it by what it says on the back. You can go on Twitch, or you can go on YouTube and watch a Let's Play of it and see exactly how it comes up. I would have a hard time imagining that there's a game out there for a console system that doesn't have a review for it, other than like Atari and Intellivision games. Don't completely judge a book by its cover, but judge it a little. Let's put a bad 3D model of Reinhardt on the cover of Castlevania 64. Yeah, it looks like I can make it. Unless it's the 80s and a Nintendo relaunch cover title. Yeah, there you go. I mean, there's a Phalanx box. There's the Phalanx box art. If you judge the Phalanx box art, you're never going to play that game. or you're gonna play it because you're confused as hell. I do kind of miss still browsing games without knowing anything about any of them. Earthbound, this game stinks. All right. With all of that being said, we are going to take a quick break. We're going to take a few minutes break, and then when we come back, we're going to clean some games, and we will talk some viewer topics. So if you guys have anything, save it for now. And then if you guys have anything that you want to discuss, hang on a second here. We will talk about it in the next half of the show. So give me a few minutes here. Let me get everything set up, and then we will be back.